Welcome to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where we share stories about folks that are mistaken for employees by irate customers. And 3 good stories are here. So subscribe, hit the like button, and here we go. The first story is, Neon Karen thinks I am a nurse. Mandatory disclaimer, English is not my first language. Some mistakes can happen. For a little background, I would explain that I suffer from a rare disease. I am literally 1 in a million. And I visit the hospital a lot. Not the emergency room, but the outpatient wing. For the past 2 years, I had follow-up visits and other appointments, like MRI, X-rays, blood testing almost every 2 weeks. It can sound weird, but rare diseases never come alone, and mine loves company. What I mean is that I have a lot of secondary conditions, or comorbidities, caused by having a rare disease, and every one of these conditions is treated by a different specialist. Hence the many visits I had this past 2 years. Now, it's almost settled down, since my internist is the one doing the follow-ups. About myself, I will say that I am of African descent, although my mom is the whitest of white women in the world, so I am what some people call white passing. Although I've been mistaken for other ethnicities a lot, like Arabic, Roma, or Maghrebi. Also, I always wear black or really dark colors, and my head shaved because of one of the comorbidities. I also have PTSD because of being treated like a liar, a drug seeker, or mentally ill for years. About the hospital, well, it's a mess. It was built like a very luxurious hotel, and out of the blue, they turned it into a public hospital. Which means tons of renovations that turned it into a maze. The staff get lost even though it's been open for several years now. And now to the IDontWorkHereLady story. A week ago, I was at the hospital looking for the internist's office. It was my first time seeing this particular doctor, so I arrived with plenty of time. My former internist has a very busy schedule, and she asked if I wanted to change specialists, so I went along with it. One may think that if those 2 specialists have the same specialty, their offices would be next to each other, right? Wrong. This mess of a hospital is arranged by departments. My former specialist is from the Systemic Autoimmune Diseases Department, and the new one is from the Rare Diseases Department, so their offices are in different floors. I was as lost as Santa on Easter. I was looking around, trying to find the place when a wild Karen appeared. I have nystagmus, which means I can't focus on moving objects, and I see them as blurring. All of a sudden, I see this fluorescent blob coming from my right side as a nightmare in neon. "What do you think you're doing?" This ball of bright pink yells at me. "Excuse me?" I was very confused. "What do you think you are doing?" yells Neon Karen. There were so many thoughts running through my mind. Who is this lady? Why is she yelling at me? But most importantly, I was trying very hard to control myself, since doctor's appointments trigger my PTSD, especially when I see a new doctor. PTSD can make me react in 2 opposite manners. I have a panic attack, or I'm the most passive-aggressive bee you have ever come across. "I think you have mistaken me for someone else," I said politely. "I know you very good," answered Neon Karen. "I've seen you here a gazillion times." "And what do you want?" Maybe it sounded rude, but I was trying really hard not to panic. "What do I want? Why is my poor little baby waiting for the doc to see him when we have been here for ages?" The little baby is a teenager with a full-grown beard. I don't know. Why should I care? Confusion took my anxiety away. Why? The screech was so loud that I saw people in the waiting room covering their ears. "It's your job to tell the doctors we are here." "No, it's not. I am." She interrupted me to make clear she was better than me. These filthy immigrants that come to our country to steal our jobs, claim our benefits, and don't even bother to learn the language. I was baffled and peeved. The passive-aggressive bee was starting to show up. First of all, we're speaking the same language. Second, I'm a citizen. I was born in this country. And third, and most important, I am a patient. No, you're not. I've seen you here a lot of times. People waiting for their appointments were starting to pay attention to us. I must point out that the waiting rooms at this hospital are not proper rooms, but the corridors in front of doctors' offices. So there I was, in the middle of a corridor, having this ridiculous argument with Neon Karen. "Oh, since you've seen me here many times, I must work here." The impeccable argument. The sarcasm entered Neon Karen's head from one ear, passed undisturbed through her brain, and left from the other ear. "Have you ever seen me in uniform?" She hesitated for a while, but then started lying. "Of course, you wear one of those blue scrubs." "Really? Blue scrubs? Only emergency room staff wears them. What is my position in this hospital?" You're one of those nurses at the front desk." The people at the front desk aren't nurses. They're administrative clerks and don't wear scrubs but short lab coats. "See? You know the uniform. You work here." Anybody with a brain can differentiate nurses from administrative clerks. That's probably why you can't tell them apart." "What do you mean?" I bursted into laughter, and I wasn't the only one. I'm sure people in the waiting room were genuinely laughing. Mine was more like a nervous laughter, trying to calm down and don't let Neon Karen get on my nerves. "Ma'am," I used the most condescending tone I'm able to articulate, "I don't work here, and even if I worked here, I would never help you. You're lying, and I'm gonna complain, and you're gonna get fired." Her face was as pink as the tracksuit she was wearing, a tracksuit I am sure has never seen a gym or any kind of exercise in its long, long life. Good luck trying to fire someone that does not work here. At this point, almost everybody in the corridor is laughing loudly. Why is everybody laughing? Stop laughing! Now her face was brighter than the tracksuit. Even her son was laughing. He tried to placate her since a voice on the speakers was compelling the people in the waiting room to remain quiet. He even apologized to me. "I'm sorry, my mom gets very upset when I have to visit the doctor," he said. "By the way," I asked him, "which department is it?" "Dermatological and venereal diseases." As I said before, lost as Santa on Easter. I was about to thank him when Neon Karen interrupted me again. "Why are you asking? You should know. For the last time, I don't work here." I started to walk away, trying to focus on looking for the rare diseases department, or at least a real staff member that could help me. I was fuming but trying to stay calm, since abrupt changes in my blood pressure can be dangerous. All of a sudden, I see a black object coming from my back and crushing into the floor in front of me. It was a mobile phone. "How dare you turn your back on me?" There's only one thing that can make me switch from passive-aggressive to full-on aggressive, and that is physical violence. "Listen there, you MFing-B. If you try to hit me again, I would beat you into a pulp. I don't work here. I never did. But even if I did, you're not entitled to treat anyone like SH. Who do you think you are? You're nothing but a piece of trash that thinks that everybody owes you something, when in reality you are the one that should be grateful for not having been beaten." I was feeling my heart beating in my head. I started feeling dizzy. My vision was blurring, and I could barely hear anything. I don't remember much from this point on because I fainted. It's called a syncopal episode. When I recovered consciousness, security was there. Also, a couple of nurses were taking care of me and trying to put me on a stretcher. I was already wearing a cervical collar and had a sphygmomanometer on my arm. Neon Karen was fake crying and complaining about me. I didn't hear what she said, but I heard another patient telling security she was lying. "I know," answered one of the security guys. "That's why we're here. We saw everything through the cameras." Neon Karen was stubbornly sticking to her lies and started mumbling something along the lines of, "She was rude to me. She's an effing M of SH. She should get fired." Then one of the nurses, who I know from previous visits, says, "She does not work at this hospital." Neon Karen, being the empty-spaced head she is shown to be, asked, "If she doesn't work here, why have I seen her every time I came here?" "Because she's a patient, and hospitals are full of them," answered the nurse. "Well, then you shouldn't let people like her wander around the hospital. What if we caught whatever she has? I don't want to be a bald bee." "You already have an empty head. If you shaved your head like I did, your outside would match your insides." I could not shut my mouth. It was too easy. She was about to reply when one of the security guys interrupted her to inform her that she was being arrested. Instead of being a rational human being, Neon Karen started yelling that she was being assaulted by security. It took 2 security guys to get her cuffed. When police arrived, I was on a stretcher with a cervical collar, and yet she was claiming to be the victim. I was sent to the ER, so I didn't know what happened until much later. The story went as follows. Police retrieved all the security footage, and since incident happened in a public place, she was immediately charged with aggravated disruption of public order and aggravated assault. Picking up a fight in a hospital and assaulting a disabled person are aggravating circumstances in my country. I didn't have to press charges, but I will be called to court as a victim. But that's not the funny part of the story. When I was in the ER, the nurse I know came to visit and told me the whole thing. In every hospital in the region, we're talking about 50 hospitals, there's a machine at the entrance of every outpatient area. When you leave the elevator or the staircase, this machine greets you with a really big sign on its screen that reads, "Before you enter the waiting room, please let us know you are here." When you get closer to it, you can see a smaller sign that reads, "Please enter your health service card in the slot," and an arrow pointing to the slot. After the machine reads your card, it tells you which office is your doctor's, and your name appears on a monitor above the doctor's office. Basically, this machine is like a clock-in system. Guess what? Neon Karen never put the card on the slot. What the nurse heard from her poor son is that they arrived late to the appointment, and her mother assumed that the kid's name would already be on the list. Apparently, she did it on purpose. Neon Karen thought that the names show on the list at the time of the appointment, not at the very moment the card is put in the slot. Her son told her she was wrong, and other people in the waiting told her so, when she started complaining that her kid's name was not on the list. I asked for the kid. He looked like a nice person despite being raised by Neon Karen. The nurse told me that he was still a minor, despite the beard, and they called his dad. His parents were divorced and Neon Karen had custody. His dad came to take care of him. Apparently his many visits to the hospital were because he had a venereal disease, but did not want to tell his mother. But since he is a minor, she was present at every doctor's appointment, so he did not tell the doctors about his problems down there. In the end, a doctor figured out what was happening, and he was sent to a venereal specialist. At the end, I did miss my appointment, but I was rescheduled for next week. I hope this time I do not find another Neon Karen. The second story is A Little Karen Revenge. This can probably be put under a few other subs, but I think it fits here best. Background: I used to be an hourly manager for Walmart. Worked nights and had all the typical Walmart people incidents. The company underwent a lot of changes and promotion was looking grim, so I left on good terms with the store manager. I still lived close to my old store and needed to grab a few things before taking my family to dinner. It was Father's Day, so I had khakis and a blue button-up on. I happened to bump into my former store manager, and we caught up for a bit. We had been talking close to the registers, and as we parted, Karen came screeching at me. I looked at my former boss, and he grinned and nodded. We will call him SM. Me will be me. Karen, and SC for security. Karen, your cashier has verbally assaulted me and has humiliated me in front of all those customers. Points at cashier. Side note, I know this cashier. I hired and trained her. She had also babysat for me on several occasions. I'm good friends with her family. Me, slow down, please start from the beginning. Karen, that little bee told me my money's no good here. She wouldn't run my card and called me trash. Me, seeing this as a scam for free stuff. Well, please come with me and security can take a statement. I'm sure they can pull footage from the register while you fill it out. I begin heading towards the security office and she begins to follow. But at the mention of register footage, she stops cold and begins getting louder and irate. Karen, I want my items. I want them now. While she's screaming, I recognize the head of security walking our way. Me, I understand, ma'am. Please come with me, and this will go quicker. Security stops to talk to store manager, and I gesture for Karen to follow. We make our way to the security office. Store manager and security in tow. Security opens the door and lets Karen in. Inside, the footage is already on the screen, and store manager moves past me into the room. Store manager, ma'am, we're going to have to detain you till the police arrive. Karen, I will not wait. I want my things now. Who are you? Store manager, I am the store manager, and apart from you yelling at this customer, gestures to me, I grin at her. You have a stolen credit card on you, and we'll wait for the police. Store manager shuts the door and turns to me. Store manager, so when are you coming back? I laugh and tell him, as much fun as that was, I'm not. I have had my fill of retail. My little revenge on Karen's. I never told her I worked there. I acted as a concerned customer. Turns out the card was stolen and flagged. She got upset over her stolen card getting declined. The last story is, surely I should know where the eggs are? I was out grocery shopping this morning in sweatpants and looking like jet-lagged death. A man in a weird hat came up to me and asked where the eggs were in this store. I told him, sorry, I don't work here. He then had quite the rude tone in his voice when he asked, well, haven't you ever bought eggs here before? I then got to drop the line, no, I'm vegan. He looked at my cart, which was full of veggies and beans, and he quietly went, oh, and wandered off. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.